It's been 25 years since the movie Scream was released and became an instant hit with critics and audiences around the world. Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson's knowing slasher spawned 3 sequels and set a young, hip and scary trend that immediately changed the landscape of cinema. Now with a new installment of the record-breaking saga on the way in 2022, this podcast will celebrate the original release and what came next, maybe with a few twists and turns along the way. I'm Alex James and this is the Woodsboro Podcast. It's the middle of October. It's a scary time of year. The latest installment of the Halloween franchise, Halloween Kills, is #1 at the box office, and the OG Scream has also been back in cinemas for fans to enjoy on the big screen. And 'cause it's getting cold, you might also like to know you can stay in and watch the OG Scream because they've released it on 4K, Ultra, High Definition and Blu-ray that you can download and keep now. And don't forget the new one, of course, coming out in cinemas in January. The countdown is on. Who better than to chat to at this point as new fans discover the film and old fans rediscover the film in a brand new way than the man who knows all the rules. When I first saw Scream all those years ago, it was Randy who resonated with me the most. A bit of an outsider, definitely an in-betweener, and not quite sure where to fit in. He was the voice of all the fans who didn't know what their voice was. He still is that character, and now he's here in front of me, well, via Zoom. I'm in the UK, he's in LA. And it's Jamie Kennedy, but to us, he'll always be Randy, right?
I'm great, man. Been busy.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good, yeah. What's this like, the ultimate memory lane for you, celebrating this?
You know, it kind of doesn't go away. Every year or two, people bring up something, or I'll go to a convention. And the last few years, Scream has been really hot. And I just think that, you know, it's in our zeitgeist now. People just want to talk about it all the time, and it's just out there and all forms of media. So, you know, it's nice. It just kind of stays alive. And with Halloween having such a huge weekend, people are just loving nostalgia titles with new takes.
And there's been such a great opportunity for fans who've probably come to it in the last few years. You'll have a whole new fan base as well as the ones that have been there from the start, right?
You know what? I never look at it like that. You're right. It is a whole new, it's exciting, and you're right. There's a new generation, and that's what this new movie is going to do. It's going to like introduce the whole world to it. So they'll see the original. They'll see this one, and they'll go back to the original and probably watch that. You're totally right about that.
Does it feel like 25 years?
No, I was telling somebody else about this. I feel time is different now, and you know, and I looked into this psychologically. I can do that, and they say that why memories are different as you get older is because they're so amazing the first time when you're younger, is because it's the first time you're experiencing something. So school, or a date, or the Grand Canyon, or the first time I went to London, I'll never forget. I was 15. These are like life-changing moments. But if you do it twice or 3 times, time can move very quickly. And I know that sounds off the cuff here, but like I was telling somebody that a movie in the 70s, like when I did Malibu's Most Wanted, which was 32 years after a movie came out with Ryan O'Neal that made him a star called Love Story. And then Ryan O'Neal played my father in Malibu's Most Wanted, right? He was still the same great-looking guy, but it was 32 years later. But Love Story felt like it was a movie in the early 70s. Scream is not 32 years, but it's 25 years ago. And it still feels like it could be made today, and it's relevant. It doesn't feel like an old movie. And I don't know. That's like, I feel like time is different. Like the 70s were the 70s, but the 90s are still relevant. And I feel like anything after the 90s just is still with us because of social media, memes, GIFs, clips. Culture is now everywhere, and people consume what they want when they want. And you can just get it whenever you want. So things aren't just on a DVD shelf somewhere. You have to find it. Like you can find in the 90s on Sirius FM or Spotify playlist, or retro is now relevant. So that makes sense.
Yeah, and even though like there'll be your fans and fans of the rest of the cast who follow your career and everything that you do, but for that specific moment 25 years ago, you and the rest of the cast are all almost trapped in that capsule of time that means so much to people.
Well, we're solidified through that. And then, people, there's the 90s, but then you had Scream, the third one in 2000, and then you had the fourth one in 2011. So it kind of is like this thing where it's, it's not Star Wars, but there's like Star Wars of the 70s and Star Wars of the 2000s. And now it's just like Harrison Ford is in the universe. And so Scream is becoming this universe. So it reinvigorates when there's new ones or there's anniversaries. So it just becomes this thing. So it's beautiful. It keeps you relevant, and it is relevant. And so it is. It's bizarre, but it doesn't feel 25 years ago. No way.
And can you recall some of those real early moments? So the first time you auditioned, the first time you read it, the first time you met everybody, is all that fresh, or is it kind of faded?
I mean, some of it is fresh, but definitely some is certain details I forget. But I'll never forget. Like, I got the breakdowns. I was a struggling actor. The breakdowns is what was auditioning that week. I saw this thing in the breakdowns. I still have it somewhere, and it said "Scary Movie." That was the original title. And I saw Randy, and I remember it just said "Lang Gangly Fifth Wheel," which I was, and I thought, oh, I could audition for this. And then I called my agent. My agent was like, oh, I'm going to submit you. I saw that too. And then it was a whole process, of going in. And the next thing I had an audition, and then, the casting director just liked me. And she was like, I'm going to bring you back. And then the next thing I'm sitting in front of Wes Craven. I'm like, how is this happening? And it was just like a train. And it just kept going and going and going. And I was like, wow. And then I got the movie. It was wild, but when we did it, it was this little project, no one knew what to make of it. It was just, which usually are the ones that get to be good because there's not interference, because no one knows what it is. Like, no one knew what this movie was. It was like this little odd piece.
And it became so huge. So what was that then like, to sit back and see the money roll in and then the sequel happen and just think, well, that little thing we were part of that we didn't know was going to work, kind of worked.
We were blown away. I think that we knew it was interesting, and there was this new label called Dimension Films, and they did Dusk Till Dawn, and now we're like, this was like going to be another horror movie for them, and they only did a couple movies, and it was the offshoot of Miramax, which was like killing it in Hollywood on like the Oscar side, and this was their more commercial side. But boom, we came out of the gate, and they liked us. We kept going each week. We kept staying at the money we were making or going up. We didn't make a lot first weekend. We made $6 million, which wasn't bad. It was like half of our budget. But, we held. That weekend was crazy. We had there was a lot of competition. It was The Peacemaker, which is George Clooney's, like, one of his early starring roles with Michelle Pfeiffer. Or no, One Fine Day, excuse me.
Yeah.
And then Mars Attacks. And that was loaded with stars too. And I was like, wow, these, and then there was something else that was big, I forget. And then there was us.
And what about Wes? I mean, a lot of the people I've spoken to for so much respect for him as a person, but also as a filmmaker.
Yeah. I mean, you don't get any more classy than Wes Craven. I mean, he makes these movies that are, these scary, dark concepts, but, he does it in such a classy way. I mean, we made this movie in wine country, and Wes is like a fine glass of wine. You know what I mean? He's reserved, full-bodied. He gets better with age, and he was at the top of his filmmaking game, and he'd been through Hollywood. He's been through his ups and downs, but already made hits, and he knew what to do. And the fact that he came on and just added this whole new level of credibility to it, know what I mean? It was like this great script, but he came on and shepherded it, you know, and it's really lightning in a bottle, quite frankly, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I mean, Scream might be bigger than Elm Street now, you know what I mean? Which is kind of crazy.
What's that process behind the scenes? Number one does really well. Were you all, the main guys, all locked in for number two if there was going to be one from the word go?
I don't think we were. I think that probably those guys were, that, you know, Courtney and Nev, and probably David, although I think David's character almost died at one point. But I think that I think they had ideas of what they could make another movie, but I definitely was added in, and I was very lucky to be added in, and, you know, a continuation of my character's rants, and, you know, people really liked, you know, they liked him.
Yeah.
The audience, but no, the first movie I thought was very great, and I was very lucky with the money I made, but the second movie I made a lot and more money, and I was like, wow. And so it was really cool to be locked in and to be able to share in the upside in there. And I had bonuses, like that's where a lot of money came, like if the movie did this, and because my lawyer structured it on a smaller scale the same way the other big actors had it, so I got bonuses when it hit certain things. And I was like, wow. So that was awesome.
So it was worth being killed in number two financially.
Oh, hell yeah. I would have got killed in number one, man. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Do you remember that day of the death?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of crazy because we shot it at Agnes Scott College, which was in Atlanta. And I brought my parents down for that week, and I knew that they could come out because my parents were older, you know, and so they needed kind of like, you know, have a little space, you know, so we posted them up, and I knew that whole day was going to be my day, my walking around the courtyard and my death and stuff. And so we put them behind the monitor, and it's a crazy story. So Roger Jackson, who was the voice of Ghost Face, called me on the phone, and I didn't know where he was. And he was saying stuff to me that you guys don't know what he said. He's like, I'm with your mother. And my mother was there, and he's like, I have your mother here, James. And my mom didn't tell me where she was. And they moved base camp, and so, or Video Village. So it was actually really cool. Like, I really didn't know that. And so they did that. My mom was in on it. So my mom is kind of linked into my death. But the funny thing is, when I went to the premiere, my dad is like from the South, and he's a big smoker, and he was like always fiending for a grit, you know? And as soon as I got killed, he's like, you dead? And I'm like, yup. He's like, you ain't coming back? And I'm like, nope. And he's like, I'm gonna have a cigarette. And he literally walked out in the premiere, Man Chinese, to smoke a grit on Hollywood Boulevard. I'm like, dude, there's a whole half a movie left. He's like, I know, but you're dead, so I saw you die.
He was there for you. That was it. He didn't care about who done it.
You know how they are. They like them cigarettes, man.
And then you cameo in number three as well. I mean, you saw the original trilogy all the way through, so bittersweet that you managed to get that in there.
Yeah, you know, I think that they realized that the character like had this pull, and so they figured out a way to get him in. So it was like videotape, and it was awesome. And I went in for a day and shot the hell out of that. And everybody was so excited. I was excited to be in it. And, you know, it was a really cool way to do it. And then the fourth one, when I went to the premiere, I'll never forget, Bob Weinstein was there, and he was like, killing you off was the dumbest thing we ever did. We should have, and I don't know if he was just saving face or whatever, but he's like, we should have never killed you. I was like, it happens. And that was it.
Well, lots of people would have agreed with him. Do you think when you do the conventions and stuff, does it make you realize that, you know, Randy gave such a voice to you know, people that would consider themselves nerds and geeks at that point, and that's a really nice kind of a legacy to have?
Huge. It's funny because, like, these conventions of like really put it in a new perspective, and like, you know, people paired off in that movie. It was like David and Courtney and their characters, and Skeet and Matt and their characters, and Nev and Rose and their characters, and Drew was killed, and then there was like me, you know, and I was like commenting on the whole thing. So I was this loner type of character, which kind of fits me and fits the movie and fits people who feel disenfranchised. So people do come up to me, and when they do, like, I had this girl, dude, it was crazy, bro. And this happens more often than you think. Like, so sweet. She was crying. And I'm like, don't cry, you know? And she's like, I know, but like, you're here in front of me, but like your death like affected me. I'm like, but I didn't really die. She's like, I know, but the voice of you died for us. And she was so sweet. I signed the stuff and she just walked away. She's like, I can't talk to you. And it affected people. Like, more people have told me that, and they cried, and because they feel the kinship. Like, they feel like their voice was muted. That's why people are so upset about it, because they feel like, I have that voice. I'm Randy. I say this. And so, you know, you made a podcast called the Woodsboro Podcast.
Well, exactly.
So, I mean, you're a living example about it.
My 16-year-old self would be, well, is freaking out about this conversation. But yeah. I mean, we're a bit more reserved here in the UK, obviously. But I think your death in number 2 was the closest I've ever come to shouting at a cinema screen. It was like, don't do it.
But inside, you're crying. You're crying right now.
It's still all these years on. I've seen your trailer reaction to the new one. So you
like it?
Feeling positive about these new guys and what they're going to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude, Ready or Not is just a great movie. I think it has a very much vibe of Scream in it, don't you? And it's like, I couldn't think of a better team to go in and take this movie on. And clearly they know what they're doing, because, you know, Courtney, Nev, and David all signed on, and Kevin. And so these directors are just incredible. And I think that they, like, the new trailer feels dark. There's no real levity in that trailer, but I just have to know that it's going to be some levity in there. And, you know, because that's the tone of these guys, how they make movies. And so I was really excited about it. I mean, I was watching it as a fan, you know, but people asked me, so I did it. You know, I'm excited for it.
And David gets your line. The line lives on.
I know. That's what I want to know. What the hell? Is David becoming me?
Listen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, bro. I really appreciate it. And pleasure to talk to you, too.
I'm pretty sure you, like me, were genuinely upset when Ghostface pulled Randy into that van and out of our lives in Scream 2. Thank God he had the foresight to record a VHS telling us the rules of a trilogy. What a guy. Thank you so much to Jamie Kennedy for chatting about his time on the saga and taking a trip down memory lane here on the Woodsboro Podcast. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Woodsboro Podcast. Please rate and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if you'd like to join the conversation, then you can find more on social media at the Woodsboro Pod. And you can find me on social media too at This Is Alex James.